We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next. Today on an all-new Daily Helpline, 5-time Olympic medalist and author, Mr. Greg Louganis.
Lock myself in my house and wait to die.
Shame is a straitjacket for you. We got to get you out of that.
Do you know how to be in a healthy relationship?
I feel like I don't.
It took 52 years, but I found my soulmate. I also kissed a lot of frogs along the way.
Here we go.
Number 2, let's do it.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Helpline. I'm Miles Edcox.
And I'm Spirit, and we have got a really powerful show for you today. Now, Miles and I are so honored to be joined by a special co-host today. Please help me welcome the inspirational 5-time Olympic medalist and author, Mr. Greg Louganis.
Glad to have you.
Oh, please have a seat for us. Now, you have been hard at work on a fascinating documentary. You have to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, back on board.
Yes.
It's my documentary. We started 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I mean, it was amazing. The way that it happened is I was away from the sport of diving for a number of years, and then Will Sweeney, one of the producers, read this article about my coming back to diving after 20 years, and he goes, "Oh my God, I didn't know he ever left." And so he said, "There's a story here." And so he got a hold of Cheryl Furjanic, and she did this survey, and it was really interesting because, like, if you were under 27, you didn't know who the heck Greg Louganis was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
it was
I don't
like
know if I'm old or privileged or both. Wow.
I mean, and she said, she called me up and she said, you know, I really want to change that, you know, because you've had such a history is coming out as a gay man, coming out with your HIV status, challenges that you faced. And so, you know, that's where we started 3 years ago. And you know, it was just an amazing journey.
And your journey is amazing. What I like is you've experienced some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows. Yeah. You know, what have you learned from all that? What's been your secret to stay positive through all of it?
You know, a lot of the lows I've learned have been my gems. You know, being raped and then staying in that relationship for 6 years after that. Feeling worthless, but gaining the courage to leave that relationship. I don't look at it as a victim or survivor. It was just an event in my life. And it's a gem in my life because then I can empathize. I can empathize with somebody who's been through a similar situation. So, you know, I look at those as, you know, as such positives in my life that I can be that I can share.
Well, we're so glad that you are here to share with us today. And one of the things that we love is that you live out loud. You have been so transparent. I mean, I always say we have chapters in our lives that nobody wants read out loud. And you have opened yours up and said, let's share. So you're going to help a lot of people today. I'm already inspired.
Thank you.
Yes, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay,
Ready?
so our first guest, yes, you ready? I'm excited. Our first guest reached out with a problem that we know that Greg will be able to relate to. Take a look.
Hi Spirit and Miles, my name is Stephanie and I'm sending this video because I'm hoping to get help with overcoming my anxiety for my speech impediment due to being born deaf in one ear. Overall, I'm a fairly confident person, but I still find it hard when people get distracted by the way I sound when I talk. What advice do you have to help me overcome my embarrassment?
I want you to share with us, because for the viewers at home and those that haven't had a chance to know your story, I mean, there is a serious reason that you have this speech impediment. So can you tell the audience?
Yeah, I was born half deaf. I can't hear at all in my right ear. I have nerve damage and it was never there, the hearing. And I had to take speech classes in school all the way up until 6th grade. And that helped me a lot. I couldn't really talk. My parents noticed when I was around, I was like 3 years old, when I was a baby, from the nerve damage, my head would always kind of lay to the side. And they thought that was kind of strange, but they didn't know about the deafness until I got older, when I was starting to speak.
Yeah.
When I started school, I stuttered.
Oh, yes.
And so I was like, what happened with me was my sister, when I was at home, my sister would finish my sentences for me. And so whenever I was supposed to talk, then, you know, I never formulated a sentence. So I stuttered and stammered. So I was in speech therapy and all that. And so I ended up shutting up and pouring all of my time and energy into what I could do physically. I danced, I did acrobatics, I did gymnastics, I did diving, you know, so I didn't have to speak to express myself. So I found other ways of expressing myself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Well, you know, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that we don't overlook it and tell you, you know what? Just be positive, and when people ask you, oh, just be happy that they think you have a great exotic accent. Because I know that when they ask you the question, it takes you back through your entire history.
It does.
And we had a chance to really look at the history, and so I know that you mentioned that your mother was a drug addict, and unfortunately, you know, this led to that. But there were a lot of other health problems that you had, right? And then after you were born, then what happened?
After I was born, my mother couldn't take care of me, so my grandparents got custody of me. And they were able to nourish me back to health. I was poor malnutrition. My baby teeth came in all black. I had a lot of health problems. And the hearing, that was the biggest for me, was the hearing. Because even when I go out now, now it's hard for me to really hear people. And if I'm in a loud setting, it's nearly impossible.
What's a day in your life like? How hard is it?
Well, it's hard for me to meet new people, to talk to people. It would help if I could just learn how to be open about it. Because a lot of times, if someone's standing on my right side, I can't hear what they're saying. And I'll smile and kind of act like I know what they're saying, but half the time I can't hear it. And I'll have to reposition myself. I'm constantly thinking about it. Whenever I'm out, constantly thinking about it, like where should I stand when I'm with friends? How can I hear everybody?
And what's the feeling underneath the thought?
Like I feel ashamed of it, and I don't want to feel ashamed. I want to be proud of it. I want to own it, but it's just difficult for me.
And part of what we hope to do is help you own it. But first, we need to know what it's costing you. And that's where I'm going. I think we all experience shame, and for underneath shame, there's always something else. Mm-hmm. And so when you're at home, so all day, every day, you think about this.
I do, yeah. And
it enters most every conversation.
Oh, yes.
Or you have to avoid it and navigate around it, and/or answer a question like, "I'm not, where are you from?" How many times people ask you that a day?
Oh my gosh, everybody.
And so your
it's the
whole
first thing
life.
people notice. Yeah, my whole life.
And then you go home.
I go home.
And then it's you.
It's me, yeah.
And what do you do with all that stuff that happened all day when it's just you?
I think about it, and it gets me down. I feel really low about myself. I do feel like I have more to offer than, I don't know, I just wish people they weren't always so focused on the way I speak.
What piece of it are you ashamed of?
Not being able to feel like I can truly connect with people. I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication because I can't hear them unless I'm open with them. And that's where my anxieties has come from, is how I want to be open with people so I can truly understand where everyone's coming from and be on the same page.
It feels like every morning when you get up, you put this wagon, you hitch to this wagon that's really heavy, and it's your not enough. Mm-hmm. And you drag it around all day.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you're just exhausted.
Yeah, it's tiring.
And so part of what I hope we get to do today is to unhitch that wagon and to let the load down so you can walk around and be enough. Yes. We've all got a not enough. We need to go back, you did. And a big step was telling your story. But
yes.
Going back is important sometimes to rewrite and resolve it, but we want to help you go forward. because we feel like you've been dragging this for too long.
That's right. And so we brought someone here today to be able to help you. Okay, this is a piece that you've been holding on to. I want to introduce to you Lisa Haisha. Lisa, can you please stand up for me? Thank you so much. Now, Lisa is a communications expert. Okay, and can you tell us a little bit about what you see with Stephanie today?
What I'm witnessing here is a beautiful, articulate, very well-spoken woman who really has it all. The only thing you're missing is not knowing it yourself. All of us here in the audience see it. I'm sure the experts see it. I certainly see it, and I see hundreds of people who come in with really strong disadvantages. So we'll put you up on the stage, we'll work with you, we will guide you through this issue, and I can guarantee you within 8 sessions, you're going to be good to go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Will you accept that gift from us?
Definitely. Yeah, that's
Wonderful.
sounds like that's exactly what I need. I already feel better.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the support.
First step. The first step is admitted.
So we thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story. We know this is just the beginning for you. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you for listening.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We've got lots more coming up right here on the Daily Helpline. Coming up.
So take us back to that moment, the day you first got the diagnosis.
I was very upset. I didn't stop crying.
We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.